It is a crowded race for governor on the Democratic side already here. So here to talk about her run for governor, Alexis Hill, who is on the Washoe County Commission, running as a Democrat, of course, for governor. Thanks for coming in, first of all.
Thank you for having me.
The long trek down from Northern Nevada, we appreciate it.
I love coming to Las Vegas. I've been coming here my whole life, so it's really exciting to have an excuse to come here every week now.
So let's first of all talk about, obviously most of our viewers are in Southern Nevada. Your past, your pedigree in politics before running for governor, and why you think you'd be a good governor.
Yes, I have devoted my career to public service. I actually grew up in the city of Sparks and went away for college, but came back to be a planner for the same city I loved and really wanted to fix things in that city. I didn't have a proper sidewalk walking to school, and I fought for that as a planner. And that's just really been my path. When I see there's an issue, I want to dive in and help. I then worked for the city of Reno during the Great Recession, and I feel like I was a big part of pulling at the city with our arts and culture and our special events and giving the community pride and something to believe in again. And I was watching things happen on the county commission level that bothered me, because the county is really where your quality of life is. They take care of our most vulnerable people to, just making sure that we have parks and open spaces for community members. And I ran for office in 2020, and I'm running again now.
So presumably if you were in the city government and you saw problems in the county commission, you ran for that, and now you're on that board. You clearly are seeing something wrong in the governor's office as well, because you're running for that position. What are you seeing wrong in Carson City, and specifically with the governor's office, that you think you want to fix?
I think Nevadans are ready for a change. I think that I've seen firsthand what happens when we continue to give away tax incentives to the richest people in the world who want to do business in Nevada and not invest in Nevadans. And the last time that really our support for community services, when our taxes kept up with inflation, was 1990, when we were kids here. And I am seeing our schools struggle. On my fire board, we had to freeze 10 firefighter positions. There are layoffs happening throughout local government. Our streets need support, our teachers need support, and it feels like cries for help are going unanswered, and we really need a change.
So speaking of that, your campaign video I watched, one of the first things you talk about is the idea of corporate giveaways, and you mentioned the money and the giveaways for Elon Musk and so forth, and tax breaks. How do you draw a correlation between tax breaks, whether it's for Elon Musk or for the A's baseball stadium or for Allegiant, whatever it might be, those kind of tax breaks, and how the population is being shortchanged?
Right. Well, we have some outdated tax policies in Nevada, and the legislature has talked about modernizing our tax system for decades, and it has been politically unfeasible. And I feel like I have to stand up and lead on this issue, because whereas I understand that we need to attract new business here, and I certainly understand that when we are in the Great Recession or we are, looking to bring new people to our community, we need to have some compromise, but we are not fundamentally dealing with the root causes of the problem. And really, it's a very unfair tax system, and many people are moving here and taking advantage of it. Corporate ownership of homes, people coming in and paying for a home that could be valued at a great amount of money, but it's fully depreciated. So they're paying $1,900 a year in property tax and not on the full value of the home. And so I think that we need to get our house in order, because our tax system is not keeping up with the expenses of taking care of our communities. And this is happening throughout the state. This is not just a Northern Nevada issue.
I want to touch on the property tax discussion again in a second, but first, getting back to the idea of tax breaks and the giveaways, I guess you would say. Obviously, supporters would say it's a way to, as you say, drum up business and grow jobs and grow business and entice other companies and corporations to help diversify Nevada's economy. That's a term we hear from a lot of folks. So if that's not the solution, what is?
If you cannot pay for your fundamental government services, then you need to take a moment and have an evaluation. So you're bringing new people here, but your roads aren't able to sustain it. You're bringing new people here, but your schools can't be supported. Your teachers aren't being paid enough. I think that there are fundamental issues of the growth that we're seeing in Nevada, which is so exciting. I want to see new people move here, and I think it's a wonderful place to live, but we are not keeping up with the infrastructure to really support the services in Nevada. And on the local level, I am seeing it firsthand, and I must say something.
Yeah. So your idea is, okay, fine, grow, but put infrastructure in place first, which I think they're supposed to do, aren't they? I mean, that's the whole idea of traffic studies and things along those lines. We're getting into the weeds of government here, but on a governor level, on a statewide level, what would you suggest doing to sort of make sure the cart doesn't get before the horse?
Well, I think it's just fixing these unfair policies. And I think what I heard recently on a campaign trail, talking to a dad, he's like, I'm okay with the growth. I think it's wonderful Nevada's growing, but I can't get playing time on the field. I get that the kids can on flat fields, but parents can't do it till 11 p.m. And this is just a lifestyle question. I mean, we have people falling behind also who are ending up in our homeless shelters, who are not able, seniors who are not able to sustain themselves, people who can't keep up with rent. So it actually is about getting back to fundamentals. Even the example, and this is on my website, alexisfornevada.com, but I'm also talking about how unfair the gas tax is when you and I are paying it, and Amazon trucks are going around with their battery operated trucks doing their deliveries, and they are not paying their fair share to be on our roads. So these are fundamental things that we must fix in order to sustain the lifestyle that Nevadans came here and are staying here for.
Well, the idea of the conversation around the gas tax is a touchy one at county government and state government because for a variety of reasons. Anytime you talk about taxes, it gets people all riled up.
Sure.
But I think one of the suggestions it seems like you are making is, EV electric vehicles, a mileage charge, which has been talked about before. If you're elected as governor, is that a solution to some of our road projects and some of that funding?
Absolutely. I think that it's the whole theme of my campaign is we all need to pay our fair share. That's not happening in Nevada. There are loopholes that exist that people are taking advantage of. It's unacceptable, and it's time that we actually fix these issues, because these loopholes were there for a reason, to keep people in their homes, for example, with depreciating property tax. But now that we are growing as a community and so many people are coming here, they are not able to pay their fair share either. So it's really shining a light on these major fundamental issues that need to be fixed in order for us to have the wonderful lifestyles we want.
You also mentioned earlier the idea of property tax reform. I think on your campaigns that you referenced $2.5 billion and that shortfall for education. There's just been record investment in education. In the last legislative session, they made the pay raises permanent. Property tax reform, what does that look like, though?
Well, that's resetting on sale. So I'm not looking to increase the cap. I'm not looking to have you pay more than 3% a year. I think that does keep people in their homes. But I also am saying if you are doing corporate ownership and going and gobbling up homes that working families could potentially buy and selling them for a higher value, then you need to pay more than your fair share, because that is a business that you're operating. So I'm also proposing that our corporate owners pay their fair share as well.
I'm wondering how you feel your thoughts on what you would do as governor, how it meshes with fellow Democrats in Carson City, around the state. Some of the things you're describing, there seems to be a little friction maybe in between, not necessarily the goal, but the method of getting there. Mm-hmm. How would you characterize your campaign, your philosophy with maybe other Democrats in Nevada?
Well, I think that I'm a proud Democrat. I've always been a Democrat. I think Democrats want to pay for schools. They want to pay for roads. They want to support working families. That's the whole part of my campaign that I am really pushing. I think that I just want to have a frank conversation about how we get there. I'm tired of pretending like this elephant that is in the room is not there when we have real people struggling. And you did point out how we are spending more on our schools. Well, yes, in proportion to what we had been doing. However, per capita, we are still not at the average of where we should be spending for our schools. And the Clark County School District is one of the top Medicaid providers for their workers, which means they don't make enough and they don't pay them enough to have health insurance. And so we are supplementing these workers who are working so hard for our students and for our schools. And so I think that that is a fundamental thing that we need to look at, that yes, we are doing more from the 2 sessions ago, but we are still not keeping up with inflation and keeping up with the population of people coming here.
A couple of final questions. Another aspect on your campaign site references the topic of open space, public lands. That's a Nevada-wide conversation starter, to be sure. There's an effort, certainly in southern Nevada, to open up more BLM land for development all around the valley. Do you support that idea? I
think that any time we're looking at opening up public lands for private use, it needs to be balanced with conservation restrictions as well, to ensure that we can enjoy these public lands. And so I supported Jackie Rosen's Truckee Meadows lands bill in northern Nevada, and that's because a huge portion of that bill, as well, they were going to have land that they were going to sell, certainly for private development, but I think it was 3 times the amount of private development land they were going to have for conservation, tribal use, things to ensure, quality of life. The reason that you and I live here, hunting, going out and hiking, preserving that quality of life, because actually all of America, they own the land too in Nevada. But I think that there also needs to be a discussion about how we ensure that the federal government gives Nevadans enough money, especially with all the fires we're having, because we are not able to keep up with managing these public lands by ourselves. So I think that the governor has a leadership role to play there too.
Finally, you're obviously not the only Democrat who's running for governor. The Attorney General, Aaron Ford, is running. How would you say you are a different Democrat than him, and how would you differentiate yourself from his campaign?
Well, I respect his service, certainly, and we have both supported each other in past campaigns, and I think what I am running on is an issues-based campaign. If you go to my website, alexisfornevada.com/issues, you're going to see all the things that I believe in, what I'm fighting for. I want to go to the voters and tell them, these are the problems we are having, and we need to have frank discussions on how to solve them. And we cannot continue to do the same thing over and over again, continue to do these tax giveaways, and expect different results when we're not actually investing in the infrastructure that we all need for quality of life.
Very interesting campaign. Alexis Hill, thank you very much. I look forward to seeing how things go in the race for governor on the Democratic side. Appreciate the time. Thank you very much.